live with the PiP episode 8. I am here with my good friend Khalid.
How's it going?
And tonight we have a plethora of just different topics to talk about. There's been a lot of gaming or interesting gaming events that have happened over the past week since we last spoke to you guys. Something you wanted to say?
Oh no, just ready to get started.
Alrighty. Well, I think me and you agreed that the first thing we should talk about is the new Warzone update.
Yes. Just in time for seasonal.
Yeah. So, with the new Warzone update, it came out at the perfect time. I think it came out today, and I believe it ends November 3rd, which is really cool. They have a bunch of different IPs coming out. Like, you got Michael Myers, you got Saw, Chainsaw, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy.
The Leatherface?
Yeah. And I don't know if they're going to be swapping game modes, but the game mode that's out right now, well, I guess technically there's two of them out right now. One of them is called is just zombies, Warzone Zombies. It is the most eventful event that they could put out. Besides, because the other one is just the same thing but nighttime. So it's fun, but at the same time it's just nighttime. The zombies one is where it's really at. So what happens in this game mode is you start off and it's normal. You can only play trios though. You can't do it in quads. Or you can go in as with just two people, but you'll be at a disadvantage. What's the best place to start? Okay, so when you first load in to the game, you'll notice that the zone is very small already. It's very condensed. It's not the whole map. And you're prompted with, like when you hit the play of the game, you're prompted with three things. One is when a player dies, they get turned into a zombie.
Like it.
A player can kill two humans or find two already dead humans, like just regular players. If they're dead or you kill them, they'll drop these purple vials. And you need two of those. You need two purple vials, and then you can actually get called back in.
Okay.
That's really cool because that means that like you're not just sitting there like spectating the whole game. And there's no limit to how many times you can spawn back in, but if you die as a zombie, you have to be like bought back in with points.
Okay. So a reverse back gulag thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it does not. It doesn't go to the gulag. The players, like the actual still alive players, have to actually buy you back.
Yeah. Well, because when you're in the gulag, can't they buy you back as well?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
The zombie, like playing as a zombie, you'd probably be like, oh, that's not fun. It's surprisingly, like, there's something about it. It just hooks you. Like, you want to keep playing as a zombie, in my opinion. So in the trailer that came out, you see the zombies jumping around with these like jet booster things. Those things launch you really far because you get to use them, and zombies are stronger in the gas of the zone.
Yeah.
But with that, they give you gas grenades, so you can throw the grenade down. It slows the human down and is dealing damage to them. And while you're in it, it makes you stronger when you attack them.
Oh, wow.
They also give you EMPs. You can EMP as a zombie.
Now, is it your teammates that have the gas, or is you personally as a zombie have the gas?
You as a zombie has it.
Okay. And you still work for your team, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
like your teammates, they'll see like a little icon. Like normally you can see like a little arrow or whatever above your teammates. As a zombie, they see like a skull moving and like leaping across the map. Just from building to building. It's amazing. I'm not sure if they're adding more game modes, but I know they added like skins. It's kind of creepy when you're playing the game and then out of the shadows, the saw doll. That
good. Jigsaw.
Jigsaw. He just walks out of the shadows and kills you. And when you first open a crate, I believe, like the very first time, they put in like a jump scare. So like it'll flash like black and white scenes on your like screen. I'm not sure if there's like a point to that, but I know it's a jump scare. Apparently, according to Josh in the chat, they have a Leatherface skin as well.
Yeah.
It gets harder as the game continues because the zone gets even smaller and there's so many zombies. Because the zombies will keep, like, say you die as a human, you become a zombie, and then you die as a zombie, and your human partner calls you back in, right? If you die as a human again after you've been called back in, you turn back into a zombie. So it starts the cycle over again. So me and Josh were playing, and we're being held up like in this little valley, and he's the only one like really alive because I'll spawn in, shoot like an actual player, die, become a zombie, jump down to the ground, grab 2 vials, and while I'm grabbing them, I'll look for players. And then spawn, like I'll get my 2 vials, I'll spawn back in, land, snipe the other player. And that happened, like, I kid you not, that happened at least 15 times in a row. Because it was me, Josh, and Noah. Noah's just full dead watching this whole thing unfold. Josh is surviving the zombie apocalypse, and I'm destroying the humans. Yeah, overall it was a very good game. Also, when you're a zombie, say you get the 2 vials and you come back in, right?
Yeah.
You actually keep your loadout as if you were still like a human, like before you died and became a zombie.
Okay.
So that's even funnier because when you're a human and you die and become a zombie, your stuff still drops on the ground. So since Josh was standing in one area and I had respawned from zombie like so many times, you see all of my dead loadouts on the ground. And I still have my loadout and I had claymores, so I'm just laying these claymores on the ground and picking up my other dead bodies' claymores and laying them on the ground.
That's awesome.
Other than that, they added some stuff for the battle pass. There's all of that stuff. Skins, kill animations, and stuff like that. And then, while we're on the topic of Call of Duty, Josh also informed me that to combat data miners in the new Call of Duty game, do you know what data miners are?
Yes.
Okay. For people that listen to this that don't know, data miners are the people that go into the game and they'll go into the code and figure out what all are there, like the assets, so they can get like an early sort of information, kind of like a leak of what's to come. In the new Call of Duty, apparently Rick rolls people. It Rick rolls the data miners. It links them to like a YouTube link or a JPEG of Rick Roll or Rick Astley.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful. With all of that out of the way, though, do you have any questions about the new Warzone update?
Yes. So, like, Are the villains, so like are these movie villains, are they I'm trying to think of like kill streaks or reward streaks, or are they just roaming the map doing stuff and you're just kind of a victim of their circumstance?
Okay, so I'm not sure. So all those in the trailer it shows all the like Leatherface, the Jigsaw doll, and then the Headless Horseman, stuff like that. I think those are just skins, and those scenes are just trailers of people.
Gotcha.
But with that being said, I don't know if they're going to rotate out the new event, like the zombie event. I don't know if they're going to change that event to whatever. I have a feeling they're not, but you never know. Honestly, I would opt to keep the zombie thing in because I think it's just that fun.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Awesome. I'm glad to see that one again because I've told you before as well that when Call of Duty Ghosts came out and they start releasing the weird like kill streak, or I think they call them score streaks in that one, but like your Predator and Michael Myers and just different like licensed characters.
Yeah.
Really, really fun. Like I know there are other ones, but I would have to say that both the Predator and the Michael Myers were the most iconic. Not just because I guess the license, but just how they were. But the Predator, because I love the Predator because he used all his weapons, and when he finally gets like downed by the enemies, he slowly does the whole like I don't know if you've seen the movies, but the countdown, the self detonation. So he actually has that in place and starts counting down, and he starts like laughing. It's really, really well done. Like, I could say one thing because I know like some people don't like Call of Duty being the same game. I love Call of Duty, and I'm not even a big first person shooter fan, but when they get licensed, they handle them really well. That is one thing, definitely.
They definitely. Noah was asking, he was like, "How did they get so many like different horror movie characters?" And I was like, "They're Call of Duty. Do you remember Ghost when they had Michael Myers and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, they did do that." I'm like, pretty much they could just contact them and be like, "Here's our idea. Do you like it? If you do, we can make this happen."
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's beneficial for both people. I think in that concept. Yeah, it's not really like, especially like if they're going to do it well, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Like the company can now promote their property to gamers who probably already like it. If not, now they're being introduced to it. They don't have to go through the whole thing of trying to find a company to make a game and try to make a whole concept. It's just like, hey, you love it, it's here, and it revisits what they love. I think in that same concept where, look, I'm very interested to see the Golem game, like the Lord of the Rings game, wherever that's going to go. But I mean, Golem, I can't see running around in a Call of Duty game, but in the same concept, like it's easier to keep your franchise alive by refreshing it in this very, very popular format. So that's good.
Yeah. In other sort of battle royale news, it was about a month ago. I didn't realize it was like released. I thought it was still early access. But a battle royale called Spellbreak had come out. It was released. Do you know what Spellbreak is?
I don't think so. No.
So, okay. I think actually, I'm not sure if you like battle royales.
I like the movie.
Okay. If you don't like battle royales, I think Spellbreak is a good way to have like a different formatted battle royale.
Yeah.
So Spellbreak is it's a battle royale but with wizards.
Yeah.
When you load into the game, you sort of you don't drop in, you choose like a crystal to get like summoned at or something. And I played in early access, so some of the stuff could be different. At the beginning, you choose like your school of magic that you start with.
My good.
So you can choose, we'll just use fire for an example.
All right.
So you get the basic like ranged fire, little like fire bolt spell. You shoot a little ball of fire. And then you also get like a firewall as sort of like a defensive. So there are different kinds of magic. There's like, you can also levitate. You can levitate and cast spells. So there's like wind, earth, fire, poison, electricity, ice, if I didn't say that. But what's cool is like, say someone shoots like a tornado at the enemies, and you're like, ooh, I can help out with that. I'm going to shoot my fire into the tornado. It'll become like a fire-nado. Say ice is actually made to snipe people. It's more of a sniping sort of spell. And if you have fire, you can set up a firewall, and it's just like a little line of fire on the ground. It's big enough to where it'll like it's as tall as you, kind of.
Yeah.
But people sniping you, if you put it in between you and them, and they're sniping with ice, of course, it will actually melt the ice and like shield you from it.
Oh, that's really good.
With that, like using spells for offensively, it takes your mana, and you can levitate with mana, or you can attack. You can't do both. Or you can, it runs out super fast. So you can't just spam spells and like fly away. You have to think about it. And say you're sort of building a character that's all about levitating and having like the high ground advantage.
Mm-hmm.
In that aspect, you would never choose like earth as the element that you'd start out with, or get an earth gauntlet, because earth it doesn't work well in air, if at all, to my knowledge.
Okay.
So you have like a right gauntlet and a left gauntlet. And throughout the game, you'll find like 3 different tiers of gauntlet. It's like a small, like a normal one, a rare one, and then a legendary. Basically, all that does is improve the damage stats. And you can have like a fire gauntlet and an ice gauntlet, or vice versa, like any sort of mix match of elements that you like. Different elements are better at doing different things. Like you don't want to use poison at long range. If you shoot poison into fire, the fire explode. Yeah. Okay. The fire just makes like a giant blast. But yeah, is there anything that you would like to know about?
Seems pretty good. I'm just looking at pictures of it. So I do like how it looks. So I don't have a thing against battle royale games. I actually do like the fact that they are, a variety now. So they've become their own genre. Because again, I've watched the movie Battle Royale, and I did enjoy that concept. And so again, with the introduction of like Hunger Games and so forth, it's a mainstay. Because I think PUBG and then Fortnite, people's like, oh, this isn't going to last. And granted, there will be a lot of people jumping onto that bandwagon. But I think just how I was talking to Cody during that guest episode, where I think that introducing as many as possible good ones, it just helps competition. So, but yeah, I do love watching them.
Yeah, I would definitely say that like Spellbreak is not like it shouldn't be classified in the same genre as like the Warzone or PUBG, because the way it plays is entirely different, except for the fact that it is a royale, so you find what you get. Like the combat, like engagements are different. there's like a really big learning curve. Is the best way to say it. So like once you start playing, you're gonna get wrecked until you get good. That's how that works. But I think that's all I have for Battle Royale topics.
Okay. So we can jump to some D&D. Now, we were discussing it earlier today about Dragonlance. So, Dragonlance is a property that came out for Dungeons and Dragons. This is the days of TSR. So, before Wizards of the Coast, about the 1980s. Dragonlance is a different game setting for those who play D&D, but just not too aware of the game setting. So, you have your classic ones like there is the Forgotten Realms, which is the most popular, where most people operate in. Greyhawk is Gary Gygax's baby when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Oddly enough, a lot of creatures come from Greyhawk. Beholders being one of them. They were originally in Greyhawk and then just went over to Forgotten Realms. Iberon is another one. If I'm right, it was introduced in second or advanced D&D, maybe second edition. But so Dragonlance is another one. This island, island capital kind of land, different things, but warring states and factions. But one of the things is, again, there's a lot of dragon riders in Dragonlance. Another one, there's minotaurs that are prevalent, and then they don't have halflings in this world. They have things called kinders. Kinders are elf-like, and they're just a little shorter than most humans. I think they're about 5 feet. But the artwork is really, really Tolkien forward. Wizards with grand hats and big gray beards and staffs. Very Gandalf across the board for most wizards, you'll see. And thinking about it, I think a lot of the miniatures when I was growing up, not knowing what D&D was, but seeing these fantasy minis, I think a lot of them were just the stereotypical wizard is what they've gone for. But so with D&D news, Hickman and Weiss, the two creators of the Dragonlance, they're actually suing Wizards of the Coast because I thought it was a dead property. Dragonlance, the last thing that ever came up for Dragonlance was 2011, if I'm correct. And they just didn't renew the property, just was sitting there. So I guess they were planning a 2020 release of 3 books, a trilogy. And so Dungeons and Dragons and
Just so you know, your audio has changed drastically. Okay. No. No, you're very robotic. You should probably leave the call and come back. Yes, very, very robotic and quite quiet indeed. Can you speak for us?
All right. Hello?
That is much better.
Yes, on my end as well. Actually came back better. Oh, okay. Where was I not a part of the Matrix?
Go ahead and start from renewing the property. Not in the 3 D&D books coming back 2020
okay.
Or 2021.
So it was going to be a trilogy. And yes, so Wizards terminated the project for whatever reasons they had. And again, Hickman and Weiss just now won, I think it's $10 million for the project for damages. So I don't know, it's very interesting. I would say when it comes to most of mine, Dragonlance is the near bottom. Planescape seems interesting. there's some good lore there, but I don't know. So it's very interesting to see what comes out of that, I guess.
I don't have enough information on it to form an opinion.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, definitely. So sorry. So when it comes to, again, I know everyone's different when it comes to where they feel about their D&D games. That makes sense. So, like, someone can play one D&D game and they get more of an anime feel from it. And so like your anime, your fantasy anime are what drives the look, the aesthetic in your mind's theater, the theater of the mind. Some people play it and they get more of like Game of Thrones, or some people play and they get more of like Lord of the Rings. When it comes to their fantasy, of what their fantasy niche is, which is it's very great to have to be able to say that. It's like, what is your niche in fantasy, when fantasy is its own niche, but yet nerddom now reigns in the forefront of people's minds. I love it. But yeah, definitely look at the art. It's classic, that 80s fantasy art, and it's phenomenal looking. It's really, really beautiful artwork for it. I do believe that there are some of the artists that drew that have also drawn things for second edition, so Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition. But yeah, what's your next topic for us?
Well, I was just gonna mention that on the topic of like suing, like, you know, the DOJ is suing Google.
Oh yeah.
Just for, they're saying that Google is a monopoly. Which is, it's kind of funny because there are other search engines, like they aren't stopping other search engines. People just choose Google instead.
Yeah.
That's why there's the term Google it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why they feel like it's harder in the forefront of people's, like, the way that people think, and just like pop culture, that like now that's becoming like, that's probably in the dictionary, or going to be in the dictionary when you Google something, versus like binging something. And I think that suing them is a strange thing. It's very interesting. There are times where if I'm...
Whoa. I have no idea what just happened with that. That was interesting, to say the least. I wonder if the audio picks that up. Let me see if I can get him back. Well, in other news, complete other news, the new Wormwood Kickstarter has launched. This is very good. It's the new Corrupted collection. I would highly recommend everyone go check that out. They have new coffin vaults, or they're redoing coffin vaults, and then now they're adding coffin trays and art, dice trays. So I also believe they may have added a new set of dice as the Prism dice, which is pretty cool. With that, though, there will be a slight moment of silence. Reconnect to this call. So. All right. Are you good?
All right. Yeah, some technical difficulties, people. That was interesting. But yeah, long story short, I can see that if they're just curmudgeony old men looking at Google being the part of pop culture, why they might think that, but everyone else knows that that's not the case, you know? So Google hopefully will most definitely win that.
Yeah. I believe the exact words were like an antitrust lawsuit. That's what it was called.
Okay.
But anyway, to not get too political on that, or political at all, rather, let's go to a different topic.
Sure. Here's something that is definitely true to your heart. Did you know that October 20th, Twitter turned into Shiro Day?
What?
Yeah. It's good old Shiro from Fate Stay Night for those who want more context. Yeah. Supposedly October 20th was Shiro Day on Twitter.
I didn't know that. I don't go on Twitter. You have, in one sentence, made me very happy and upset. Happy that it happened and upset that I missed it.
Yeah.
Josh said F. He put an F in the chat.
Yeah, man, it's very interesting. I don't know what started it, but that's awesome. I have to say that like I know some people don't like the first Fate, but the Fate Stay Night, but I do enjoy it for what it is. And oddly enough, though, Shiro, when it first started, you're kind of, well, myself personally, I can say that I was sitting on the fence of like, am I gonna like this main protagonist? He's just gonna get really old really quickly. But there's something about the way that they handled him just in that one. I'm like, okay, you can root for the guy.
Someone in the Shiro Day like hashtag 100% made a Attack on Titan version of it.
Attack on Titan.
They made the Attack on Titan like intro and scenes from it, and they just photoshopped other people's like faces onto the faces of the people.
Oh gee.
So there's like different versions of like Shiro, and there's like a scene of two people holding hands. And instead of holding hands, it's the two like swords that he uses, Kansho and Byakuya. And then there was the two Titans like wrestling, like running up to fight each other. And it's just Shiro on one Titan, and then it's the Twitter logo on the other. They got like Among Us memes in here. This is amazing. I am glad you told me about this. But you should have told me about it. Oh, crap. That is today. Okay. I'm less upset. I did not miss anything. I am in the fun.
Thinking of anime Attack on Titan, have you seen that ride? The Universal Japan? It's like the Attack on Titan game, or it's like Attack on Titan, like 4G kind of, or 4D like ride.
I have not.
It looks amazing. It's just those, like you see them like in Disneyland as well, where you're stationary, but the seats like tilt and move and drop and raise and like just shift around. You're on that, like you're looking at the screen as stuff happens.
Yeah.
And they take full advantage of that. So you're one of the squad members, and you're just like flying through this beautiful European Germanesque city or town, and Titans are swinging at you, and those little like you just like any type of like virtual attraction ride, you know. Looks really, really gorgeous. And of course, Levi's there, just kind of condescending, but it's really, really cool looking.
I am worried for some of these people. Not to interrupt you.
Okay.
There's a image that I have just found. It's nothing bad. It's just questionable. It's a complete wall dedicated to Fate Stay Night, but more so Shiro. There's like, okay, so let's see here. 12, 24. There's at least like 50 of the same plushie.
Wow.
Of Shiro on multiple different shelves. and then like multiples of other plushies, and then there's like posters of them. It's like a shrine. I'm getting out of here. This is weird. I'm retreating.
Fandoms have rabbit holes, my friend. Fandoms have rabbit holes.
I don't like it. Is there any other topics you would like to move to?
You could jump onto them if you got one.
I know. Okay, I do got one. So I didn't say anything on the My Hero Academia chapter last week, possibly. I'm not sure. It's all blending together at this point, but I think whenever the battle, so this is like the villain arc, kinda. This arc has been mainly about the villains, all of this. I think when this arc is over, because someone explained My Hero Academia in like a really cool way, or the main character, Deku, and it's that Deku.
Go ahead.
So they explained that as Deku is that hero that you would tune in early Saturday mornings and watch, like an early version of Batman, kind of like TV show Batman.
Okay.
And that's the way he explained it, like the goofy kind of kid or guy, very light-minded or optimistic and such. But after this arc, we think, I agree with him, because he said this and I was like, that's exactly like where I was going with this. They think he's going to change. He's not going to be that way anymore. Because the thing is that with this, spoilers ahead with this, but this is like 2 chapters ago now. He's battling Shigaraki, and Shigaraki invades his mind and is trying to take One for All from him. And with the help of all the other users, they kick him out of his mind. And while they're both wounded, but obviously Shigaraki is like 2 hits maybe away from dying. And Deku, it panels over to Deku, and it's like, please Shigaraki, just don't move anymore, because Deku doesn't have like the will to put Shigaraki out of his misery, kind of thing. Like, he doesn't want Shigaraki to keep fighting, because he doesn't want to have to kill Shigaraki to make it stop.
Yeah.
But with how many people have been like wounded in the battle, and how many people are probably like dead in the city, like people that aren't characters necessarily, but sort of just in the world.
Yeah, casuals and collateral damage.
Yeah. And say he lets Shigaraki go, which he did. He's letting him go. And Shigaraki turns around and, like, before it's all said and done with his battle, ends up like killing or hurting someone really bad. We think it's gonna like change Deku like detrimentally, because he's the type of character that wants to save everyone.
Yeah.
And he's optimistic that he can. And we've seen it before that if he can't help someone, he feels like bad about it. One of the heroes died, and another like student lost his powers. And he was there, and he felt it was his fault because he couldn't save them. So much to the point that he was debating giving his quirk to the guy that lost his.
Wow.
So that, because he thought that maybe he would be a better hero than him. With all that being said, if someone like really close to him gets like hurt, like really bad, or dies, we think he's going to go from being like optimistic to like the Dark Knight Batman. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah. He's going to go to that more... He's going to go to the grittier Batman.
Yeah.
Like Nightfall, Hush, I would say. That's nice. That's a nice one. Yeah.
Because most of the characters that people enjoy are like the flawed ones, you know?
Yeah.
And for the most part, Deku is not one of these characters. He is all, like, he studies these other heroes and he learns from them. He's not really flawed. He hasn't had an experience that would flaw him. And so he sort of comes off as bland. But by the end of this arc, a lot of people, including me, think that maybe he will become more interesting from like a character standpoint. Solely because we think his mindset on how to deal with all these encounters with the villains are going to change. Because as my hero has changed, like progressed, in the manga at least, the anime is like reaching that point where it's going to change. It's getting darker.
Yeah.
It's not like a normal superhero, everything's going to end up all right in the end. It's like it gets to a point and you're like, oh, this is great. This is really like lighthearted. It's a good anime. And then it takes a turn. It's not going to go like completely to the edge of dark, but it's going to get close. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Characters you like are going to end up dying. They're going to get Game of Thrones. And yeah. And in my personal opinion, if I had to choose a character that was actually like a really good character in my hero, I wouldn't choose like Deku as even like my fourth choice from like an interesting standpoint. What?
Suyo? That'd be your favorite?
No. Nope. I don't like the frog. We do not talk about the frog here. It would either be like Bakugo, Endeavor, Hawks. Endeavor's up there. I think Hawks is also up there. Bakugo's probably my third. Toga might be the fourth. She's crazy. And that's interesting.
I have myself a prediction on it though. So still sticking with the Batman. So I feel like right now, yeah, he's going to be the campy Adam West Saturday morning Batman.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have him turn. So he's more of the Jim Lee Hush / like Dark Knight Returns Batman, where it's going to be, he's going to be like have a cynicism to him. But I feel like at the end, he's going to be a like Justice League animated series Batman, where he's now more stoic, but he's now more heroic. If that makes sense.
I can see that.
So like that he'll end there as like when he finally finds like his tenure as a hero, then he will be kind of just like a monolith towards others to draw to, and basically have a new Deku look up to him kind of thing.
Yeah. I know like a lot of the theories in My Hero, or a lot of people believe this theory. I still believe it somewhat. I think it's a really good theory. I think it might be truth. Is that, Bakugo is going to go back into the past and become the second user of One for All. Because the way that quirk works is most people, they're like, you can't be told how to use your quirk by like doctors or anything. You have to figure it out. And there's a good point there. There's no possible way my dude, like the first user, figured out that he could give his quirk away by giving his DNA to someone, right?
Yeah.
Because his brother, All for One, gave him the quirk of stockpiling power. But the kid, like the, first user, had his own quirk of transferring his power. That was his quirk.
Yeah.
Where he could transfer his power, and All for One could steal others. That's like the thing. And so it's interesting. Like that's a good, like that alone is a good basis to think that someone's going to go into the past to tell him how to use it, you know, to get the ball rolling. And then that like combined with the fact that the silhouettes of the second user haven't, like, they're just black. They're just like shadows, and they look a lot like, or the second one looks like Bakugo, the third one looks like Red Riot. And they're both best friends kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Bakugo and Red Riot. So, that is I think that's a good theory.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of anime or other topics that you want to go to?
Oh, absolutely. But I think this one's just because, again, my love of Halloween, October time frame. Again, I don't celebrate it, but I do love everything about it. What would be like 3 recommendations, like spooky recommendations that you'd probably watch in this season?
Like any sort of TV show?
Yeah, show, movie.
Well, here, Robert also asked if they said time travel was a thing. So Robert, they didn't say time travel was a thing necessarily, but you would see the little girl Eri if you've caught up with the anime. I don't know if you've caught up with manga. She can rewind a single person's time and basically erase them from existence if she touches them. So people are saying that once she trains her quirk, she'll be able to rewind time around a person and not a person out of time kind of thing. So that she could theoretically send someone back to a point in time close to that era for them to become like a big enough hero and so on and so forth. And then my 3 recommendations. So you said they don't have to just be anime?
Yeah, I mean, they could be shows, movies, anime, live action.
This is interesting. I don't necessarily want. I think, okay, The Haunting of Hill House. That's a good one if you haven't seen it on Netflix. I will say that. There was an old show that I remember I really enjoyed. It was the Sleepy Hollow, like the actual TV show version of it.
Yes.
And I think there's a movie as well, Sleepy Hollow.
Yes, so a tie-in movie or the Tim Burton movie?
It's like a IRL movie.
No, so yeah, there's a Tim Burton movie with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci.
I'm thinking of the movie, the Tim Burton one, but then also the show. I don't know if you saw the show.
I did. Yeah, I watched a few episodes of that. A few seasons, I should say.
I enjoyed that show. I think I might actually go back and rewatch it. It has like Ichabod Crane, stuff like that.
Lieutenant.
Yes.
Did you know there was a crossover with Bones, the show Bones?
I do think I remember that.
It's a very interesting way they did it too, where they're like, "You're weird," and yet he's still staying in character as Ichabod. Because he's just from the actual, you know what I mean? He is from that universe in that show. And there's just things where it just kind of touches on maybe he is the exact character, as in long-lived and so forth. So, I do like the...
Oh, you continue.
Oh, just touching on the Sleepy Hollow, the movie, Tim Burton. I always forget that it's a rated R movie. And then things happen in it. I'm like, oh, yeah. This is rated R. You know what I mean? Like it's done in a way like Tim Burton whimsical that you forget. You're like PG-13. Oh no, this is R. that's real bad. Like, but yeah, it's a really good one. But what else?
So I'm gonna count Haunting of Hill House as, one, the Sleepy Hollow, I guess, just series franchise. That's the second one. I know they're not the same thing technically, but yeah, both of them are good. What's another one? It's hard for me to think of one because I don't necessarily watch like Halloween movies.
Horror movies in total. Like, they don't have to all just be Halloween based, but just to kind of get in that creepy, the spooky vibes of the season, I guess.
I mean, any of the Freddy Krueger movies are good.
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th, just the generic. I think I really enjoy like the Halloween, like Michael Myers movies more than both of like Freddy Krueger and Jason. I like those, but I think over the years, I just liked Michael Myers more. I
will agree. I think there was a levity that kind of seeped into Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th that kind of was avoided in Halloween. I think that as like live action, non-fantasy, like real, quote air quotes, realistic movies, I think Halloween is the only one that I accept in that world, because I'm like, if I want to watch a scary movie, especially around the season, that I kind of want it to be more supernatural. But like Halloween gets a pass because of the holiday that it's named after,
Yeah. But what about you? I know you watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, I love scary movies. So I will cheat and just say two together. One would be The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Ah, yes. I remember you recommending that to me.
I love that movie. It's just really well done. The director is also the one that did Troll Hunter. Have you ever seen Troll Hunter?
I have not.
Oh, it's a mockumentary. So yes, it's found footage, but it's one of the best done found footage movies. It's just so good. But yeah, that one definitely is on like movies for Will to watch, because I think you'll like it. I know that Greek mythology is more your thing versus Norse, but there's some really cool stuff they put in that one. I've made it a tradition to watch Over the Garden Wall. I love that animation series. I really wish they would just condense it into a movie versus like just episodes. But that one's great animation. The voice acting is phenomenal. The story is really cool, and just it truly kind of culminates when it comes to just everything that's Halloween, encapsulate everything, like that feeling and everything the season. Over the Garden Wall, cute little animation. Elijah Wood is actually one of the voices, which is very funny. And then another one would be Trick or Treat. Have you ever seen that one, Trick or Treat?
I feel like I may have. That sounds very familiar to me.
The mascot in there is this little boy wearing like that orange jumper or onesie. He has like a burlap sack over his head. He's just walking around with a bag of candy.
I've seen maybe parts of that movie, like in passing as I walk through the house at some points.
Yeah, like Little Sammy. So that is an anthology. So that's another one of my not even guilty pleasures, one of my like go-tos when it comes to shows or movies, anthologies. Love them. Love anthologies. I think especially ones that have like a central point and then there's just things happening in it. And so Trick or Treat follows different characters through this one night, and then just the things that happen. And what's wonderful about it is that characters from a different story sometimes cross paths with characters from the news stories. And then just what goes down. Really, really, really good just to watch. Just to let it play throughout the night kind of thing. But yeah, those are definitely my 3. I think that was 3, right? That was 3.
It was
13.
99.
13 Ghosts. Also, that's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Do you have any other topics, or do you want us to actually swing into our last segment? It's 11:25, but I think we could probably.
Let me think here. Well, by the way, were you just messing with like a notebook? Out of just curiosity?
Mm-hmm.
You were?
No, I couldn't. I just muted. I thank you.
Were you just messing with a notebook? And like,
oh yeah, there's a notebook.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
there's a notebook.
I thought I was going crazy for a second. I heard like writing on a notebook. I was like, I was like, I don't have any videos playing.
Because it's weird though, because you're asking this question and you've gone completely silent. So now it's just like the eerie notebook writing.
That's what it was. I was like, I couldn't tell if it was coming from you because you were talking, so I couldn't see if like your Discord lit up when it happened. I was like, oh my god, going crazy. Oh, we can go into the last one.
Okay, perfect. Let's go into that one. So for all those who are new, and for those who have come to love it, we do the segment, what are you watching, playing, reading, listening to? So what are you playing there, Will, or watching, or all of those?
Playing, I played Among Us last night, and that was a dumpster fire and a half. I invited Robert to come play. I am semi-glad I did not ruin his virgin eyes to the atrocities that happened. It started out like this could be okay, and it devolved. So, yeah, nothing like horrible in like reality. Just like, oh my god, it gave me a headache. With that though, I have been playing Warzone today. Of course, I wanted to make sure I knew enough about it to talk about it.
Yeah,
on the podcast. It was very fun. I'm going to go back and play it probably tomorrow. Not sure. Me and you have been playing Baldur's Gate together. Mm-hmm. That has been hilarious.
Definitely fun.
I feel like you had a funny moment with Josh the other day about the windmill. If you wanna say.
Yeah. So so there's a Slipflevlin, which is a underdark gnome, just tied to a windmill, and we're trying to help him. So we intimidate the goblins and go into the windmill to try to figure out how to stop him. And I'm telling Josh this. He's like, "Oh yeah, so I heard that you could probably make him go flying." Like, oh no, that was our reality. Like we see this poor gnome that we're trying to save across the board. He just ragdolls into the distance. You're like, well.
And then we found his body, and it led us to a well, basically. And the well was full of spiders.
Oh yeah, blink spiders. So
it was horrible.
So for those who have arachnophobia, let's dial that up to 11. Blink spiders are anywhere from the size of from a cat to the size of a bear. They're really pretty. They're blue and white, but they also teleport, or technically fates into different realities. But it looks more like they're teleporting. So let that help you go to sleep at night.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. In fact, we called in Baldur's Gate. You can recruit the orcs and ogres. My bad. You can recruit the ogres, and there's like 3 of them, and there's one that's surprisingly intelligent from what he's wearing. He wears a magical item that gives him intelligence. But you barter with him, and he gives you a horn if you succeed. And when you blow it, 3 ogres come and assist you. But if one of the ogres dies, the next time, like 2 will come. And so I wanted to see how good they actually were. So the first time we went into the well and unexpectedly got into combat. So I was like, this is going to be the perfect time to test out the ogres. So we test them out. One of them dies, but we win the fight because of them, I would venture to say. Because it was not looking good there.
No, that was... I don't know.
And then we get to like the actual boss, and I call him back in. And they only hit the small people, like the small spiders. They didn't focus on the boss at all, which was kind of sad. Because they were big and it was big. You'd think they'd fight it, but no. But at the end of it, so when you use them once, either you give them money and you can get them again. Like they'll let you keep the horn and you can blow it again. But if you don't, like I think they might fight you. You could initiate combat with them, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We paid 500, and then in the final boss battle, they died. So I took my 500 gold right back. And then we saw the what?
GTA rules.
Yes, GTA rules. We also saw what happened between the bugbear and the ogre, and that was terrifying in a interesting way. To say the least.
Love is love.
Then, is there anything that you particularly like about Baldur's Gate?
So I love the dice system. I love the D20 rolling system that just pops up on the screen. I do feel like, well, I mean, again, like as a DM, that's what you do. Sometimes things might just be impossible, so it's going to have a higher DC. I know, like just with games themselves, there is a sense of there has to be a sense of on rails, the railroading, just because games and one shots, that's kind of the nature of trying to get to and from. I think Josh was telling me that they're like the devs right now want more players to do like the evil route.
I don't know if Josh told you, but I know he told me, and then I told you.
No, he told me. We're having a conversation about it. But but the combat as well. Because thinking of the blink spiders or the face spiders, that in actual pen and paper Dungeons and Dragons, you want to scale the combat. So you look at the challenge rating, and then there's a equation that how many levels of players, or how many players, what's their levels, and so you kind of scale to that. And I really don't think.
And are you still here? Very interesting why this keeps happening. All right. 1 second while I get him to fix this.
The rest is bullshit.
Anyway, while he's gone, I will say what I enjoy about the game. I think at the moment the character options they're pretty good. They have most classes except for like Paladin, and I think there's one more. I feel maybe Barbarian. I think it's Barbarian. Oh. Okay, wait. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Let's see. Online is sassy today.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know where I dropped off.
Scaling combat.
Okay, so yeah. There's going to be a chance that you could have won without the ogres, but it's hard pressed to say that's the case. And then just some of the mechanics is kind of like not a thing for your tabletop version. Like the disengage for any class while you've already taken your actions kind of thing. So I don't know. I think there's even some things with the bonus actions and cantrips, because that's how it's supposed to go. Have you noticed with spells, if you can do a cantrip spell and a bonus action spell, or is it just kind of like up in the air what you're doing?
No, like when you hover over a spell, it'll tell you if you can use it on a bonus action.
Okay. Yeah, just I know like the disengage kind of is a thing though, because I know like your goblins, kobolds, and then of course your thieves can do the disengage, or rogues can do disengage as like an extra. So I don't know, but fun game.
Yes.
I know. So with My Hero, is there anything else that you're reading?
So okay, we'll do it this way. So I started watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and that has led me to start reading Jujutsu Kaisen. I really think you need to watch it. At least give it a try.
Okay.
It is probably, besides like ReZero, one of my favorite 2020 releases, anime wise.
Okay.
Just from the first episode had me like, this seems intriguing. The second episode was like, okay, all right, I like this a lot.
Okay.
And it's sort of like, it's like,
how many episodes?
There's 3 right now.
Okay, I'll wait till 4.
But so there, I'll just say, crap, hit the mic. I'll say how it starts. So it starts out with like a high school kid, and he is really good at sports. This is the part that sort of reminds me of Bleach, how he's really good at sports. He's sort of like strong mentally, and his ideal is to like keep people safe. Ichigo is to keep, his friends safe, more or less, but his is more broader. It'll just keep people safe.
He loved the ghost. He loved the ghost too.
He did love the ghost. And this also leads into that similar aspect. The kid, instead of being in like sports, he chose to be in a occult club with his friends, so that his friends could keep the club open, because they needed 3 people. Now, despite saying this, the series, he leaves the high school basically by the end of the first episode, kind of thing. Not by the end. Events happen in the first episode that lead him to, but in the first episode, the sports, like the coach had actually changed something on his like papers for school, saying what club he would be in to be on like track or something. And then he was like, well, I challenge you to like some physical challenge. It was like javelin throwing or something. You have a ball and you throw it and see how far it goes. Yeah.
Okay.
And he completely...
Shock?
What?
Is that shock put?
Maybe. That sounds more like it. He, the student completely like wipes the floor with this coach that used to be like an Olympic person. He's just, physically wise, he's pretty strong, but intelligence, he's not the brightest, I would say. But later in that same episode, there's a guy and he's like looking for this artifact. It's like a talisman. And so he explains that schools is a place where like bad emotions tend to harbor in general. Like whether it be like anxiety and stuff like that, it'll harbor there. So, and it'll lure these curses. Curses are sort of like demons in a way. And for schools and different types of areas that would have these, like hospitals, like bad emotional places that have these, they will actually put a strong curse, like artifact, there already, and that'll drive away the curses, like the random curses, which is kind of strange. And then he goes on to say, but that's really like a bad idea, because over time the seal will like weaken, and when the seal weakens, it'll actually draw curses back. Like, it's sort of like that. Once it weakens, it's the bait. And not to get like too in detail, the occult club, without the main character, ends up unsealing a finger of a like Sukuna, which is like this person that was very evil or whatever, and he had like 4 hands, I think 4 or 6 hands, and they're different, like there's fingers from each hand all throughout, like scattered everywhere. And that's where it's sort of like Inuyasha, how Inuyasha had to go get the jewel shards.
Just what I was thinking, yeah.
The main character ends up eating the finger and like bearing the curse. And normally what happens, either he dies, I think, when that happens, or he gets possessed by Sukuna, because Sukuna is very powerful. But his physical like abilities keeps him from dying, but he's also able to suppress it. And so these people that teach like jujutsu or whatever, instead of they want to kill him, but instead they're like, they can't destroy the finger of Sukuna without getting someone to ingest it and then killing that person. So he gets out of getting like executed by saying like he'll go find all the fingers and he'll eat them all. And so it's funny that it sort of like has a comedy aspect to it, but at the same time, I think it will end up being a really good like animated watch in the future as well. Like, it'll continue to progress forward. So there's those two. And as for listening, not really listening to anything much, just YouTube podcasts in general. So now we can go to you.
Okay. Well, with podcasts, are there any particular ones that you find yourself drawn to?
So there's another one. I said like last week it was like PKA, which is Painkiller already. And the dude who does that is Woody's Gamertag, who's an old Call of Duty YouTuber. He is co-hosted by FPS Russia, and then Mercadurka, who is also Mercadurka is also a old like zombie YouTuber where he would just talk about stories and stuff like that. Other than that, I've been watching a group of like voice actors and like people in the anime community, and they post a podcast called Trash Talk or Trash Taste, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny. You know, they all live in Japan, so they'll talk about different like weird things that happen there, weird things that happen at anime conventions, going to different parts of the world, like for instance how different it is getting food in like Japan. Like it's actually cheaper for them to eat out than to buy food and cook at home, kind of thing. Stuff like that. Like, it's not all about anime, but a good portion of it is, I would say.
And I will say, just as a weird little quick aside though, if there's ever a place, especially someone who loves anime or just someone who just wants to travel, I'll have to like recommend Japan, because it's very interesting it's very interesting and rare where there's a place that you might know a little bit about or a lot about, and you go there and it either like meets or exceeds your expectations. Yeah. And I feel like that's Japan. Like, there's like the people are just like sweet, and granted you might have like people who are leery of you because are foreigner in general, but the people are so like polite and just awesome, and like just the concepts of novelty. Because like I went to visit my brother there, and I don't know. So my Japanese is, I'll say, lazy. I learned some, I can hear it and I can understand what they're saying, but I won't say that I am fluent in it. But the Japanese that I do know and I've used, like just the simple phrases and the responses are like it's wonderful. Like, you know what I mean? It's very interesting. But yeah, Japan definitely. Maybe one day we'll do a podcast where we're in Japan.
Oh, that would be very fun. But to, I shout out the people of PK. I'll do the same for these people. So the podcast is called Trash Taste. And with that being said, it is they have a cool logo. It's a microphone, but instead of the microphone like itself, it's actually like a trash can.
I've seen them. I've seen that logo.
You have?
Yes.
Well, they do a podcast that's usually around 2 hours long. So in the future, we may bump ours up depending on how we feel. But you can find them over at Trash Taste on YouTube. That's where they post it all. And then for PK, you can find them on Woody's Gamertag on YouTube. And Trash Taste has The Anime Man, Giguk, and Sea Dog VA. And I believe they've all done some sort of voice acting. I know Sea Dog VA has, because that's what the VA stands for in the end of his name.
Oh.
So, yeah. With that being said, let's move on to you.
All right. So, listening to, I'll go down there first. So, listening to is Horror Babble. Horror Babble is a YouTube channel. This British man who he does some voice work, but like his stories are pretty good. There's a few stories that I've already listened to from other like horror genre. But he holds it down really well. I don't know if people have ever played Darkest Dungeon. Have you played that one?
Darkest Dungeon, yes.
Yeah. So the narrator, that his name is Wayne Jude. He does phenomenal voice work for like some things when it comes to like Lovecraftian stuff. So he's definitely someone to listen to as well. But Horror Babble is a British man, and he's surprisingly versatile with his voice acting, I should say, if that makes sense. But yeah, listen to a lot of that one. That High Strangeness, that the Christmas horror story that I introduced you to.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones of that channel. So that was really good, especially they're starting to do a thing where they now do like radio dramas. So they're going back to some old stories and now doing like sound effects and having multiple voice actors doing parts. Really stepping up like the production value of it. And so always great. So if you're just trying to find something to fall asleep to, it might be more crazy to say that I fall asleep to listening to horror stories. So that might not be a normal thing to say, but if you want some like spooky, creepy things, then that's a great thing to listen to. Reading, not doing too much reading at this moment. I'm not really reading too much of anything. Some D&D books, just going through again, usually just for games coming up. But nothing other than that one. Playing, we've touched on Baldur's Gate, and then of course still doing the grind in Guardian Tales. It's very funny because I found out that I didn't have the one level that I was at, like, so it's basically level World 1, level like 5, and I found out that I didn't complete the whole game or the whole like section.
Yeah.
So I reintroduced myself to it, and I'm level 63, and I'm fighting against enemies that are like level 10.
Oh, God.
And so it's just like they're doing 0 damage, and I'm just walking around. And before I can even like hit them, I took a screenshot of it. But it's like before I can even get to do anything to them, the other like little characters in my party just wipe them. So I think I'm going to solo the level just to see what happens. But yeah, so I found another boss I had to fight. Oh, sorry, it's 2 bosses in one level, and there's like all the bad guys are level 10. These are level 13, and so it takes 2. No, it doesn't even take 2 hits. I'm sorry. So it just, I don't know. It takes.
You're just like mowing them down, basically.
Yeah, because
like, we're going to fight you, and you're just like, no, you're going to lay on the ground.
Yeah, because it does it where it goes like their name that shows like a skull with horns, and it's like this person's about to fight you, and you're like, oh, get ready, and it's really just like boss music, tap. Okay, you win. Like I didn't even get to fight the one character. I think both of them become friends of yours, like that you add them into your roster, but it's just funny of them thinking they're going to do something. It's like, yeah, you don't know this, but there's a 63 over my name, so this isn't going to end well.
It's like in-game world, they actually do see the 63 and they're like, we're sorry.
To be fair, I did go after, I think I was like level like 20, and there's like a level 70 character that you can like harass until she fights you. Just like kind of provoke her, because she's like she's an old swordswoman, and she's really tough and like level 70, and you can make her fight you, and it's just like one hits all of your squad, and you're just like, It's like I've said before, like I fought her, and it was something out of Dark Souls. I was just like chipping away, I think like 2 million or 200,000 hit points with an arrow that's doing at most like 600, and just hiding and praying. But yeah, and then watching, so Lovecraft Country. So this is the last episode. How do you feel about the season finale?
I feel like it ended how I thought it was going to end, to be honest. All I'll say is I feel like they started out the show with them sort of like breaking a certain mold, you know?
Yes.
I think they ended it still with that mold broken.
Yes, I would agree. I will agree. So, and we talked to you this before we started, that I would like to do for next week, like a spoiler, like just review of how we feel about the show, our favorite like points and moments and takeaways from it. So if the viewer or listeners want to, I'd say definitely, well, anyways, watch the show. It's phenomenal. I mean, all episodes are out, so you can binge watch it. It's a great show. But if you're going to tune in and you don't want to be spoiled, then I would say definitely watch the show also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we'll say before we start talking about it, so
absolutely
you can just tune out and come back later.
just instead of even introducing ourselves in the podcast, just start talking about Lovecraft Country. Just immediately just start spoiling everything, and then at the end, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Will, I'm Collett. Just no, yeah, definitely we'll let people know about that one. I think scary movies also. Thinking of because we're doing our scary game night next week as well.
We are.
Or no, this week.
What?
Is it this week? It's this week.
Yeah.
I always feel
Saturday.
like,
yes.
Yeah, I always feel it's kind of weird. So it's like working Saturday, Sunday is D&D, Monday is work, Tuesday is podcast. So this weird like block of busy, and it makes like this weird miniature week, and so everything gets thrown off. So yeah, this week.
And then Friday we do have a guest podcast episode.
Yes. So we will talk more about the
game. You know what? That is going to end up pretty good, because Friday will be episode 9. Tuesday, when we talk about, Lovecraft Country, it'll be episode 10. We'll talk about it on episode 10. Lovecraft Country had 10 episodes, so it'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. I didn't say it that way.
Anything else?
No. Are there any folks from the Robert was telling me to tell him of the Common Rider story. So
yes. He said that in the chat as well. That's what I was about to say.
Okay, so my best friend Robert loves like Super Sentai. Super Sentai is the proper. Is that too elitist? It's the proper name. It's it's the actual name of Power Rangers, Super Sentai. Going way back.
Power Rangers.
Going way further back than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But so my best friend's into that. Tetsukai, is that right? No,
don't ask me.
I think it's Tosukai. Tosukai is like your giant fighting robots and kaiju like kaiju shows. So like Ultraman, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider can even fall into that one. But yeah, so but Kamen Rider is another one, and so he loves Kamen Rider. There's a lot of like belts and so forth. So I keep telling him the truth. I am a Kamen Rider. There, now I've told the world. I don't think that's how he thought the story was gonna go. So yeah, so I'm a Kamen Rider. I go to Japan every once in a while and I fight monsters. You're welcome, world.
Yeah, you've actually showed me a video of you doing it, so.
Yeah, see? Thank you. It's pretty cool. Fighting for Japan and humanity. So just keep a lookout on like social media, World Star, if there's a Kamen Rider running around. It's your boy. Hold on quick. Give me one moment. I have a little message in chat.
All right.
Were there any other questions in chat?
No, there was not. There was not any other questions. I would like to say, however, where in the stream, I said it during the middle of the stream. But I did shout out the stream in the Wormwood Discord. So I would like to say that if anyone in the Wormwood Discord comes out and sees this and has not been informed, the new Corrupted collection just launched on Kickstarter today, and I think they make some really good just products in general, honestly. So obviously if you came from the Discord, you'd probably know yourself, so just making sure you know they make D&D products and stuff for everyone else.
Yeah, like I was it is it Worm Life?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh, so what's Robert was talking about there? So because they're running pretty close, but he's touching on just like it's very interesting with the interactions with Japanese. Both I've had it where it's we will say something in English and they're like, I don't understand what you're saying, and then we change it just vaguely. It's like me and my brother were because it was me, my brother, my nephew, and my sister-in-law, who's Japanese, and so we're talking about Kamen Rider, and she's just like, "What are you two talking about?" At the restaurant, and they was like, "Kamen Rider." She's like, I don't understand what you mean. They was like, "Oh, Kamen Rider." It's like, "Oh, you mean Kamen?" It's like, "No, come on." Oh, I said Hishin, which is like traditional, like the thing for transform. And so then she's like, "Oh, you mean Kamen Rider?" I'm like, But it's the same thing. We said it. And I've had it before with a friend from Japan. We're talking, and me and my brother are saying like, "Oh, the color pink." She's like, "What? The color pink? Pink?" And she's like, "Well, katanai," which means I don't understand. It's like pink. So I was like pushing my palms like and turning pink. It's like, "Oh, pinku." I'm like, "Come on, Tommy. Come on." This is a bit, but yeah, that's one thing. So I misunderstood Robert, and now I told the world my secret about being a Kamen Rider. So that's fine. But yeah, so it is 12 exact.
Oh, perfect timing. With that, if you have not hit the follow button and you would like to get updates on when we are going live, I will be live streaming other games such as Baldur's Gate, Warzone, possibly in the next few days. Go ahead and hit the follow button. It'll be fun. Talking with chat, stuff like that. If you would like to watch previous podcasts, you can go to the YouTube channel, either youtube.com/OniCentral or youtube.com/the PiP Podcast. Either one has them up on there. With that being said, thank you to everyone who has been watching, and don't forget to tune in next Tuesday, but more specifically Friday, for the guest episode.
Absolutely. You folks have a good night.
Yes. We will see you guys next time.